7 Central.
Happy New Year from your friends at CBT Bank. CBT Bank, member FDIC.
Welcome back. We are continuing to follow the funeral and procession of fallen state trooper Landon Weaver. You're taking a live look again outside the Blair County Convention Center as troopers and local police and then community members and folks really from all over the state and country, for that matter, coming out today to remember the fallen state trooper, a beloved member of the state police. No question about that. We want to also take a look at the route where the procession will begin here in a short time for Trooper Weaver. It is about a 15-mile drive this procession will be from the Blair County Convention Center to Fairview Cemetery in Martinsburg, where Trooper Weaver will be buried. The procession will go past the Meadows intersection on West Plank Road. It will then travel through Duncansville, where it will then make a left towards Newry. The procession will then travel through Roaring Spring Borough and then continue on Route 164 to Martinsburg there, where Trooper Weaver, like I said, will later be buried. So along the route, we've been talking about this all morning long and all afternoon long. You're finding the community paying tribute to Trooper Weaver. Many tributes have been set up since his tragic passing last week. Our Jackie Padilla has more on how our region is saluting Trooper Weaver with symbols in our area.
Along 3rd Avenue in Duncansville, you'll find blue and black tape wrapped around light posts in honor of Officer Landon Weaver, who was killed in the line of duty. And throughout central Pennsylvania, you'll find other community members who are doing what they can to show support for the fallen trooper and his family. In Altoona, the Curve baseball team put Weaver's name in lights as a reminder for those who drive by. But for those further away who want to show their support, the Because We Care Foundation and Keystone Pinups have teamed up to make t-shirts.
All the proceeds for the t-shirts are going to go directly to Macy Weaver, Trooper Weaver's wife.
Caruter says it's personalized especially for Weaver.
This is the design of the t-shirt.
On the back, his portrait tied into a black and blue American flag.
For the police department. And the bottom part is going to be on the left front, and it says never forget.
Jessica DeJaneiro says in just 24 hours, they've already raised $2,000.
I'm actually in awe of the amount of people that are willing to help somebody. If they don't know them personally, you know what I mean? It's amazing.
With help from the pinups and other volunteers, she's processing orders to be shipped nationwide.
And they want to show these officers the support that, hey, you know, we're supporting you, whether we're in California or Florida.
There's a huge, huge support system locally and nationally.
Caruter and DeJaneiro hope the Weaver family can feel the compassion from their community.
I hope they find a sense of comfort in knowing that they have a community that supports them and is here for them during this time.
In Altoona, Jackie Padilla, WTAJ News.
Jackie, thank you. And Trooper Weaver attended Spring Cove School District in Blair County. He was a 2012 graduate of Central High School. The superintendent there shared the impact that his death is having on the school and community.
Flags are at half-staff at the Spring Cove School District. Many here are grieving over the loss of Landon Weaver. He graduated here in 2012.
It's a very close-knit community, and as I said, the family of Landon and the friends of Landon, there are tons of those in our community, and everybody really is coming together and really supporting each other and really hurting at this time.
They held a moment of silence here when they returned from the holiday break and continued that at the start of every athletic event. Students are sending cards to Weaver's family and holding fundraisers for the Troopers Helping Troopers Foundation. This is where Landon Weaver met his wife and came up with a plan for a career of service to the community.
We have a yearbook here that just, shows that even as a senior, he wanted to attend IUP, and his dream was to become a law enforcement officer.
More honors are to come from Spring Cove as they come to terms with the loss and decide the best ways to remember Landon Weaver.
Obviously, this is really a difficult time for our whole community. Landon has a lot of friends and a lot of family in this community, and he was a student that everybody remembers in very positive ways.
John Clay, WTAJ News.
Yes, we're all remembering Trooper Landon Weaver today. Another live look outside the Blair County Convention Center. And they are now, we believe, bringing out Trooper Weaver's casket as his funeral is wrapping up, and they are getting set to start the procession. Let's take a live look in. So we are awaiting Trooper Weaver's casket to come out here. As you've heard, many folks that knew Trooper Weaver, the community, his fellow officers, remembered as just a wonderful human being, a beloved member of the police family. His fellow officers saying earlier this week that he will be remembered as a compassionate, professional member of the Pennsylvania Police. You heard the Pennsylvania State Police Commissioner, Tyree Blocker, speaking earlier in this broadcast, calling Trooper Weaver compassionate, professional, had exceptional interpersonal skills. And these are all the folks that are coming out today to Trooper Weaver's funeral at the Blair County Convention Center. You have police from all across the country, not only the state, but all across the country, local police, state police, all here remembering Trooper Landon Weaver, who was so tragically killed Friday night in Huntington County. And we continue to remember him this afternoon as we continue to look live into the Blair County Convention Center, outside the Blair County Convention Center, I should say, as we await Trooper Landon Weaver's casket. So Trooper Weaver's casket will be coming out here momentarily. We did run the route down for you for the procession that will follow here shortly too, but just in case you missed that, we'll run it down for you again here. The procession will begin here shortly, and it will continue down West Plank Road to Y Switches intersection. That'll intersect with Route 22 if you're familiar with the area there. It then makes a right turn onto Route 22 through Duncansville Borough. That's 3rd Avenue if you're in that area or if you're familiar with that area. They'll go left then onto Old Route 220 south, 220 south there to East Freedom. Then another left onto State Route 164, also known as the Woodbury Pike. And then they will travel on 164 through the Roaring Spring Borough. And then it'll be another left turn remaining on 164 through Martinsburg Borough. And then they will, of course, then end at Fairview Cemetery, where Trooper Weaver will then be buried. And I did mention this earlier too. But if you do have to be out and traveling in any of those areas, state police are asking drivers just to be patient, as many of the intersections will be shut down for this procession that is about to begin here shortly, as you see some folks, family and community members leaving the convention center this morning, this afternoon I should say, and we are still awaiting Trooper Landon Weaver's casket to be coming out as well, and that procession will then begin. But just to recap, Trooper Landon Weaver, since this all happened last Friday so tragically, has been remembered all week. And we've been showing you today, obviously, a lot, but really throughout the week. It all began this weekend and into this week. Memorials popping up everywhere. Blair County, Huntington County, Bedford County, really throughout the entire state. Memorials all over remembering Trooper Landon Weaver, only 23 years old when he was killed on Friday night while responding to a domestic dispute in Huntington County at a home in Heston. And he's a 2012 graduate of Central High School, recently just married actually in June to his high school sweetheart Macy. And actually in June is also when he graduated from the State Police Academy. And he was assigned then to Troop G, near his home in East Freedom. And also want to mention he was a criminal justice major at IUP and just freshly on the job of the state police here in Pennsylvania. A wonderful human being. We'll continue to remember him today. Trooper Landon Weaver, outside the Blair County Convention Center where his funeral was held earlier this morning at 11 a.m. You see a lot of these state police outside right now gathering as well, awaiting Trooper Weaver's casket to come out of the Blair County Convention Center. And then, like I said, the procession will then begin as they head towards Martinsburg and the cemetery there, the Fairview Cemetery, where Trooper Weaver will later be buried. Looks like now we are awaiting Trooper Weaver's casket to be coming out here. You'll hear the bagpipes playing here shortly. It looks like they are getting ready to do that outside the Blair County Convention Center. Well, we do have a minute. If you haven't heard earlier, some of the quotes this week, and we'll run those quotes down for you here in just a little bit, but we do want to show you as Trooper Weaver's casket is now coming out of the Blair County Convention Center. Let's take a live listen in. All right, so you are looking right now outside the Blair County Convention Center, the funeral for Trooper Landon Weaver, who was killed in line of duty last Friday in Huntington County. Hundreds of troopers, not only from Pennsylvania, as you see right there, but from all over the country, paying their respects today at Trooper Weaver's funeral. That procession will then begin here shortly. And we have live reporters all over the area on different stops on that procession. We will be joining them shortly as well as we continue to look back at the life of Trooper Landon Weaver. And I do want to make some mentions too. Memorial contributions in memory of Trooper Weaver can still be made at any time to Troopers Helping Troopers. We have all that information on our website at wearecentralpa.com. We also mentioned throughout this week that Haas's has set up at many of their locations this Saturday for a day of caring, where 25% of the proceeds from sales that Haas's makes on Saturday will be going to help Trooper Weaver's family. And you see the procession is about to begin here outside the Blair County Convention Center. And again, just to run that route down, where the procession obviously will begin here shortly outside the Blair County Convention Center, where the funeral was held today for Trooper Landon Weaver. It'll then continue down West Plank Road to Y Switches intersection. Intersects with Route 22 there, if you're familiar. It'll then make a right turn to Route 22. It's going to head through Duncansville. It's going to then go on to Route 220 South. It's going to head towards East Freedom. And then it'll make another left onto State Route 164, also known as the Woodbury Pike, and then that procession will travel on 164 through the Roaring Spring Borough, and then another left turn, and they will head through Martinsburg Borough, ending up at the Fairview Cemetery, where Trooper Landon Weaver will be buried later today. And again, before I mentioned that I wanted to mention some quotes from some very high-ranking, important folks throughout our state, including our Governor Tom Wolf, who said about Trooper Landon Weaver when this whole thing happened last Friday and into Saturday. Governor Wolf said, quote, "It's a time for all of us as Pennsylvanians to reaffirm our gratitude for what these folks do for us day in and day out. It's a time for us to reaffirm our gratitude for what Trooper Weaver was doing." And that is certainly true from Governor Tom Wolf. He said that earlier this week. As you see, the procession for Trooper Landon Weaver is beginning now as we speak.
Stand by. Freeze it! Move!
So here you see the procession and the casket right there of 23-year-old fallen Pennsylvania State Trooper Landon Weaver, leaving the Blair County Convention Center, making its way out onto the procession route. They'll be making their way first to Duncansville and then heading towards Roaring Spring, and then of course making their way towards Martinsburg, where Trooper Weaver will eventually be buried today at the Fairview Cemetery later today as that procession begins. Like I said earlier, we do have reporters throughout the procession at many of the stops, including our Colleen Nelson, Lauren Handley, and Jordan Tracy. We're going to pick up with them in just a little bit as we continue to remember and look back on the life of Pennsylvania State Trooper Landon Weaver. So there is that procession as it's getting underway for Trooper Weaver. You saw many of his fellow officers, state police, local police, from throughout Pennsylvania and from throughout the country as well today, paying their respects to Trooper Weaver. Like I said, we do have reporters at all of the stops today for Trooper Weaver's procession, and we want to join our Colleen Nelson right now as she is live in Duncansville at one of those procession stops. That is where actually Trooper Weaver's casket will be heading first. Colleen, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Casey. We are here live in Duncansville along Old Route 22. Not a lot of people out here at this time. There have been several people coming in and out of the area, but I think the cold weather, people are staying in their cars, in the house. However, I do want to introduce you to 11-year-old Connor Scott. He is here with his grandpap, Bob Miller. They came all the way from Gallitzin. Good afternoon, Connor. Please tell me why you're here.
We came here to honor Trooper Weaver and thank him for his service and
Pay our respects.
and pay our respects.
And now you told me a little earlier that you want to be a police officer when you grow up, isn't that correct?
Yes.
And why do you want to be a police officer?
I think it's just a good job. I think it's good to do. It's kind of like being a good person, I guess.
And Landon Weaver, Trooper Weaver, was a good person indeed. Bob Miller, I would like to ask you a question. What does it mean for you to have your grandson here today for this event?
I think it's terrific to have him here to pay his respects and show honor for this fallen trooper.
Indeed, and that's what we are doing here all afternoon. Again, we are live here in Duncansville along the funeral procession route. As Casey had said, that procession has started. They will be coming through here shortly as Trooper Landon Weaver makes his final route where he will be laid to rest in Martinsburg. Casey, back to you.
All right, Colleen, thank you very much. Like Colleen mentioned there and her two guests there, really the entire community, really throughout Pennsylvania, remembering Trooper Landon Weaver, a Pennsylvania State Trooper, recent graduate of the Pennsylvania State Police Academy. Just back in June, actually, was when Trooper Weaver graduated and tragically killed last Friday on the job. We want to continue our live coverage this afternoon as that procession has begun for Trooper Landon Weaver. We want to join our Jordan Tracy. He is live for us today in Newry, where that procession will be swinging through here shortly. Jordan, good afternoon, bud.
Good afternoon, Casey. As I said here, Newry is awaiting the arrival of Trooper Weaver's procession through here. I'm joined by Zachary Moore of the Imler Fire Department. Zachary, what really motivated you to come out here today?
Well, basically, I feel that, as Trooper Weaver, he was a first responder, a state police officer, and in a sense, firefighters, we call ourselves a brotherhood. Well, I think that, all emergency responders is just one big family, and I felt, as someone that died, that I should come out and, in a sense, support that whole family as one big cause.
Now, as the first responder family, you're seeing a lot of people coming out here to support. So as a first responder, what does that mean to you to see the community support one of your brotherhood?
Basically, I really like it. It does bring a lot of joy to me to see that our community comes together, especially in times like these. There's a lot of stuff going on in other spots of the United States and the world against police officers, and there's other things that have happened to first responders, firemen too, that it's just unacceptable. It's not right, but it brings joy to my heart to see that these people will come out into the community to support a fallen trooper that comes out every day and puts his life on the line to protect us. And I know that's something I'd like to see anytime something like this would happen. God, hope that it never does happen again.
Now, you're in full uniform. Is that for a significant reason?
Basically, I know they have dress uniforms. I had my bunker gear with me, so I decided I'd put my bunker gear on as a sign of respect. I'll take my hat off once the procession comes by, and as I did when we had a firefighter die before, when I was at his funeral, we will salute. Once another member of our company actually gets here, we'll stand and salute by the road as their procession goes by.
All right, thank you, Zachary. Now, as you see here, other first responders are coming out. We see Duncansville Fire Department is also here, and we're waiting to pay their respects for Trooper Weaver here in Newry. Back to you, Casey.
All right, Jordan, you're right. The community really coming together, first responders, the community in general, fellow officers, everybody coming out today to remember fallen State Trooper Landon Weaver, a beloved member of the police family, as his fellow officers and the community continue to remember him. That procession, so it's going to go through Duncansville, travel through Newry, where Jordan Tracy just was, and of course it will then be ending in Martinsburg, the hometown, actually, of Trooper Landon Weaver. That is where he will be laid to rest later today, and that is where we find our Lauren Handley. She's live in Martinsburg this afternoon with more live coverage. Good afternoon again, Lauren.
Good afternoon again, Casey. Well, since I've been out here, I've seen more and more people come out. There are blue ribbons, there are American flags, and one fellow that I met, Larry Graper, you have a lot of American flags that you brought with you here today. Tell me a little bit about that.
I attend funerals for veterans, fallen first responders, police forces. Any time that respect for the American flag is being shown for the people that make it possible for us to live under what the flag stands for, I try to respond. As you can tell by the people lining the sidewalks, they're doing the same thing. It's too bad that we have to have an event like this to bring us together to do these kind of things, but it's, if nothing else comes out of this, that is a good thing. Trooper Weaver gave the ultimate, and we're here to, all of us are here to show our respect for him and the family that he left behind.
Now, one thing I just wanted to touch on before we send it back to Casey is Larry was telling me that this is his 16th funeral he has attended the procession for this year.
Yes. I attend veterans funerals, fallen veterans, first responders, any public servant even. If we're requested to stand a flag line or honor the fallen hero, we step forward and do it. And I'm happy to be able to do it myself.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Mr. Graper. He is actually also from Martinsburg. As you see, there are many people in the town here who have been coming out this last hour, more and more people, little kids handing out some American flags as we await for Trooper Weaver to come through here to his final resting place. Casey, we'll send it back to you.
Lauren Hanley today in Martinsburg, Trooper Weaver's hometown. Thank you, Lauren. We appreciate that. That procession is underway as we take another live look at it just beginning outside the Blair County Convention Center, where that funeral for Trooper Weaver wrapped up a short time ago. It was underway this morning around 11. And you heard Lauren there talking to Mr. Graper there, a member of the Martinsburg community where Trooper Landon Weaver is from. And that's really a testament to what you're seeing today and what you're going to see really along this entire procession route today is, yes, a lot of people that knew Trooper Weaver, family and friends and classmates and fellow officers. You'll see a lot of that, but you're also going to see a lot of folks like Mr. Graper and folks that maybe didn't even know Trooper Weaver but just want to come out and pay their respects because of how awful this was and how tragic this was. Trooper Weaver, a 23-year-old, just freshly on the job, just a fresh graduate of the Pennsylvania State Police Academy back in June, and so tragically taken away from us Friday night while doing his job, responding to a domestic incident in Huntington County. And he was out serving us and protecting us, and tragically lost his life. It's a terrible, terrible thing, and we're seeing that folks are coming together to remember Trooper Weaver's life throughout the day. So you see the procession is underway. It is beginning, and it's going to be traveling. We mentioned all the stops it'll be traveling through. It's going to be making a stop first, or at least passing through, I should say, Duncansville, and that is where our Colleen Nelson has been all afternoon for us, bringing us live coverage, talking to many folks, like I just said, Colleen, many citizens that maybe didn't even know Trooper Weaver, but just want to come out and pay their respects because of what he did and how he unfortunately did pay the ultimate sacrifice. Colleen?
Yeah, that's right, Casey. Tons of people just showing their support for Trooper Landon Weaver. We've been seeing folks coming in and out of the Duncansville area all afternoon. They're really starting to gather now further down the road. And the few that we've spoken with, even though they don't know Trooper Weaver, they just say they feel like they need to be here. Even though they didn't personally know him, he was a part of the Blair County community. That's where he grew up. He was born and raised here. He was a graduate of Central High School. That's where he met his wife, Macy. They were high school sweethearts. They were married in June of 2016, and Trooper Weaver, it was always his goal, his dream in life, to become a state police officer. Unfortunately, that's how he ended up passing away, doing what he loved. But people say that's always what he wanted to do again, so they are proud of him and for his service and sacrifice. He went to IUP. We also want to mention that he enlisted in the Pennsylvania State Police Academy in December of 2015, so only just about 1 year on the job. Again, we're seeing more people lining up the streets here, definitely more people coming out now, just showing their respects. We've had fire trucks, police units just driving by all afternoon. Earlier in the week, Governor Tom Wolf and the Police Commissioner, Tyree Blocker, they also spoke about Trooper Weaver, spoke very highly of him, saying he was very professional, very dedicated to his job, And again, members of the community are definitely recognizing that, even though they did not know him personally. We do want to mention that Altoona's First Savings Bank has set up an account for Macy, Trooper Weaver's wife. Donations can be made there to help her during this difficult time. Haas's, the one here in Duncansville, including several others in the area, is doing a fundraiser this Saturday where 25% of people's proceeds will be donated to the Weaver family. There's also a t-shirt sale. Those details are over on our website, wearecentralpa.com. So lots and lots of community support, which is just something so nice to see. Earlier this morning, we were also over in Martinsburg, Trooper Weaver's hometown, at Mamie's Cafe there. They were donating supplies and treats as well to our first responders. We do want to now take a moment of silence as this procession is approaching. Again, that procession is coming. They left the Blair County Convention Center a short time ago. Hundreds of state troopers.
All righty, Colleen Nelson for us in Duncansville this afternoon. That is among the stops that this procession will make. And you're seeing it. It is beginning right now. It has been underway actually for the last 10 minutes or so. But you see hundreds of community members and police officers and family members all coming out to the convention center this afternoon to pay their respects. So as you'd imagine, there is going to be quite the long line of vehicles still filing out of the Blair County Convention Center, and they are on their way to where Colleen is at, actually, heading towards Duncansville, as that route will continue towards East Freedom, and then they'll be making their way through the Roaring Spring Borough and eventually into the Martinsburg Borough, Landon Weaver's hometown, where he will be buried later today at Fairview Cemetery. But like Colleen mentioned, really like Jordan mentioned, Lauren mentioned, we've mentioned all week, it's really incredible when you do sit back and just take a moment to think about what a wonderful community is we live in, and how everybody, whether it's businesses, whether it's just community members, really rallying, coming together to pay their respects for a wonderful human being, Trooper Landon Weaver, only 23 years old, sadly taken from us on Friday, on the job, doing what he loved to do. So we're going to continue to follow this procession, looking like it is pretty much, still leaving the Blair County Convention Center there, but and you see the traffic back up too as well. So if you're around any of the Blair County area, do keep that in mind. State Police did put out a reminder earlier this week that if you have to be in any of these areas throughout the procession route, just to take note of that and just be patient if you can, because many of the intersections are going to be shut down for the procession. You see the intersection, I believe, just opening up again there, right there. But this is the funeral procession for Trooper Landon Weaver as we continue to remember him. And right now we are going to head back to Newry, another stop along the way of Trooper Weaver's funeral procession today. That is where we find our Jordan Tracy, who is continuing to talk to community members there in the Newry area. Jordan, you probably heard me say, I think it's obviously sad and it's very, very tragic what happened to Trooper Weaver. It's amazing today to see, though, community members that didn't even know Trooper Weaver coming out to line the streets and to just say their final goodbyes to Trooper Weaver.
You're absolutely right, Casey. We're seeing the streets starting to be lined up with a whole bunch of people in this small community to kind of reach out and pay their support and respects to not only Trooper Weaver, but to his family and all first responders as they jump through here. Let us show you what's going on here. The first thing you notice is on the trees and poles here, we have a blue ribbon as a show of solidarity and support for Trooper Weaver and his family. And also you can see the fire truck from the Duncansville Fire Company sitting here ready for the procession to come through to show their support as a brotherhood of first responders. And then the blue balloons in support of Trooper Weaver and to show their respect, losing his life in the line of duty to protect the people of our community. So as you're seeing here, it's starting to line up pretty well, waiting for the procession to come through in order to pay their final respects to 23-year-old Landon Weaver. Back to you, Casey.
All right, Jordan, Tracy for us in Newry this afternoon. That is one of the stops that Trooper Weaver's procession will be going through today as we continue to look back on his life, and hundreds of police officers from all across the country are in town in the Blair County area today for Trooper Weaver's funeral. Here's another look. This is actually right outside the Blair County Convention Center, as that intersection, I believe, is still shut down, but that procession is underway. Got started about 10 or 15 minutes or so ago, and they are making their way on that procession route. Many folks like you've seen, from young kids to adults, community members coming out today to pay their final respects, lining the roadways in many of our communities to pay their final respects to Trooper Landon Weaver. The procession will wrap up today in Trooper Weaver's hometown of Martinsburg, and that is where he will be buried later this afternoon at Fairview Cemetery, as we've been telling you, and that is also where we find our Lauren Handley. She's been in the Martinsburg area all morning and into the afternoon now for us. She's also talking to community members there that knew Landon Weaver, or like I was talking to Jordan about, Lauren, that maybe didn't know Landon Weaver, and that's pretty incredible too, that just our community coming out to say their final goodbyes to Trooper Weaver.
Right, Casey, a lot of the people here, whether they knew him or not, they understand the importance of honoring our fallen police officers, whether that's state, local. And actually, someone I have with me here right now, Marshall Swope, you're from Martinsburg.
Yes.
Why was it important for you to come out here today?
Well, I think we need to support them because their job is tough as it is. Without the support of the people and the community, they would be worse off than what we already are. And their job is tough. Like I was telling you earlier, our father was 40-year constable, and his job wasn't easy. And I know what the family's going through with the loss of a family member and a loved one that you never had a chance to say goodbye, or that last I loved you, you know. I know that firsthand.
All right, well, I wanted to thank you so much for your time. You're just one of the people I've been speaking with today. From what I understand, that the procession is coming through Duncansville, so we're going to send it back to you, Casey.
Lauren, thank you very much, and we want to quickly get you out to Duncansville, where Colleen Nelson is live. That procession is heading through Duncansville as we speak. You can see it from behind her there. Colleen, take it away.
Casey, we are here live in Duncansville, one of the first stops along the procession route. Passing us right now is one of the advanced cars letting people know, lining the streets, that procession is coming again. All of these people here today are here to honor Trooper Weaver. Again, the procession you can see behind me is coming still a little bit down the way. Lots of people here lining the streets this afternoon, paying their respects to the young trooper, just 23 years old. Such a great outpouring of community support. We want to get you live here to the profession, a live look in as they make their way.
The motorcycles get past it, that's what overhead. On the corner of the yeah. 5 feet away. Okay, close to the back.
You are taking a live look here into Duncansville as that funeral procession for fallen State Trooper Landon Weaver is continuing right now through Duncansville. You saw many community members there out on the streets paying their final respects to Trooper Weaver. The procession will then continue towards East Freedom and then towards the Roaring Springboro, eventually ending in Martinsburg, where Trooper Weaver will be buried later today. We do have reporters throughout the area stationed at many of the stops along the way of this funeral procession, and we'll be continuing to join them throughout the procession as it is ongoing right now. Again, just a testament to our community and the support that they have shown Trooper Landon Weaver and his family. You heard Colleen mention it a little bit ago, but there are contributions you can continue to contribute to Trooper Weaver and his family, and you can do that through Troopers Helping Troopers. We do have all the information for that on our website at wearecentralpa.com. Colleen also mentioned the Haas's restaurant doing a great job. 25% of the proceeds this Saturday will go to help Trooper Weaver's family. And many of these memorials that you see throughout many of our counties, so many of them, whether it's in Martinsburg or Huntington, Blair County, we've seen many shows of support and compassion towards Trooper Weaver's family. Some that, like I said, may have not even known Trooper Weaver. And it's really incredible what this community has done in the wake of such a tragic incident that happened last Friday night. So we are continuing to follow this procession as it heads through Duncansville. Hundreds, if not thousands, of people coming out today for Trooper Weaver's funeral. Started at 11 a.m. this morning over at the Blair County Convention Center. And it wasn't just police from our area either, or just from Pennsylvania. We had officers from all across our country coming out today to support Trooper Weaver and his family. And you saw many community members that are still lining the streets or that went to his funeral over at the convention center. It's not only been something that has hit us hard here in central Pennsylvania, but it has hit us hard in Pennsylvania as a whole as well. We do want to continue our live coverage this morning, this afternoon actually, I should say. We do have reporters throughout the stops along this procession route, and that includes in Newry, where we want to rejoin our Jordan Tracy. He is live there right now. Jordan, good afternoon again.
Good afternoon, Casey. The first car is starting to pass through here at the moment as people are standing by. And now I'm going to step aside as the town of Newry pays their respect for Trooper Landon Weaver.
Okay, this is a live look into Newry, right now. Trooper Weaver's procession will be passing through there shortly. We're anticipating that procession to begin here shortly through Newry as they make their way through Duncansville, past Duncansville, eventually into Newry, heading on to East Freedom, and then eventually through Roaring Spring and Martinsburg. And here we go. We see the warning car now coming up through Newry, and the procession will now follow. Let's take a live look in.